Hi, welcome back. Isn't this the cutest little bunny? This is going to be someone's favorite toy soon. In this video, we're going to be making this bunny. I've designed the pattern and it is available on my Patreon. If you just go down to my Patreon and just go to the shop, you can get the pattern there. After I cut out all the pieces, I put some heat and bond on the back of some scraps of fabric, and I cut that out into 1-inch squares. And I'm going to finish. I've already done some already. I'll show you what I've done. I've sewn on some little patches on, and I'm placing them randomly on each piece. So this will be the front of the teddy bear, and I'm just randomly putting them where I think they'll look good. And I'm just going to iron them on and then sew around them. And if you don't have any heat and bond, you can use a glue stick and just stick it on just so it stays in place while you're sewing it. And try and place your patches, like keep in mind that there is going to be a seam allowance, and you might not want to have your patches sewn into the seam. So I've placed mine kind of center. This will be close to the seam, but you want to try to keep them visible. And I also marked on the back of the pieces, like since I'm using denim, I used a pen, so I know that this is the front of the body. And I also marked where the center seam is. That is really helpful so you don't get confused while you're sewing. So I know these seams are going to be sewn together. And I also, and also mark on each, on the front of the head, the dart points that you're going to be sewing in. And so now I'm just going to work on sewing on these patches randomly throughout the teddy bear. After I've done all the patches that I want to put on the bear, I find it helpful to do the arms, legs, and ears first. Now I'm just going to turn everything right side out. Make sure you clip all the curves so it presses out nicely. I'm just stuffing the legs and the arms, and I'm stuffing them firmly but only halfway because I want them to be a little floppy. And trying to make them even as well. I like to get these things done and out of the way first, and then we can focus on the body and the assembly. Okay, and these are done about to there for stuffing. They're going to be sitting on the bunny like this. And then the ears, I just press them down flat. We don't need to stuff those. The next thing I want to work on is the body, and I'm just going to sew along the center piece. Now this is for the back. Is this for the back? Okay, this is the back. This is why I like to mark them. For the back piece, so that's the center. That's why it's really handy to mark these pieces. And this is the neck. And we only want to sew part way at the bottom here on the center seam. Just a little bit at the bottom. I'm going to actually put a pin there to remind myself. So when I sew it, I'm just going to sew from here down. And I am using a 1/4 inch seam allowance that is included in the pattern. So the back piece looks like this. It's only sewn part way at the bottom. And then the front is like this. So now I'm going to sew up each side. To sew on the legs, after we've sewn the body together, we're going to place the body piece open like this with the back on top, and this is the neck opening here. And we're going to take the legs and we're going to face them this way towards the front, and we're going to pin them in here. And I'm taking the seams and matching them up in the middle like this, so the feet stick up like this when it's sitting down. Now I'm going to sew right across the bottom here. And if you'd like, you can go across and do a zigzag to reinforce it, because there's often extra strain put on doll legs and arms. And that's what it'll look like so far. I'm going to start sewing up the head. So this is the front piece, and I marked on it that this is the center of the face, and I also marked where the darts are. So the first thing I'm going to do is sew up the darts. So I've marked on the pieces where the center is. And I'm going to sew that up. So that is the front of the doll's head. So where it's marked the center for the back of the head, I'm only going to sew up halfway. And it's going to look like this. I've sewn the front and the back of the head, and now I'm going to place the ears. And what I'm going to do is take each ear and fold it in half like this. And I'm going to place it here. And I'm going to stitch those on just to make sure they stay in place while I sew the two pieces together. And I'm going to stitch closer than the seam allowance so it doesn't show. Now that I have them stitched on, I'm going to pin the front of the head onto the back here. And I'm just going to sew right around here. So I've sewn around the edge, and this is what it should look like. Oh, and don't forget to clip the edges. Now we're going to pin the head to the body. Oh, but first we have to do the arms. And we're going to do the same thing with like the ears. We're going to place them and then stitch them in. So with the arms, I'm matching up the seams. I'm putting them right here. And I'm going to stitch those on. Now I'm going to place the head on, and I'm going to take the center seam from the front of the head and match it to the front seam of the body like this. I embroidered on the nose and the mouth, and I have the safety eyes here that I'm going to put on, and to help me place them evenly before I mark it, I like to use pins to poke in and just see how it'll look. And all we have left to do is stuff it and sew up the back. Just stitched up the back of the doll, and it's all done. I hope you enjoyed this project. I think this is going to be someone's favorite toy soon. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and have a great day. Bye for now.